The girl in the stormed sky was heavy that night. Clouds hung low like sorrow waiting to break. The streets of the small town were slick with rain, glistening under the faint glow of broken streetlights. Wind pushed the trees like whispers from a world that knew too much. Keanu Reeves was driving alone, quiet, the hum of the engine the only sound. He wasn't rushing anywhere. He rarely did. He had just finished a small meeting about an independent film, something quiet and poetic, something that mattered to him. He liked stories that said something about people, about pain, about healing. He turned onto an old road that curved along the park. Most people avoided it after dark. It was known for being a little too quiet, a little too forgotten. But Keanu liked the silence. It gave him space to think. And that's when he saw her. She was sitting on the curb, soaked to the bone. Her arms were wrapped around her knees, and her head was down. The rain didn't seem to bother her. Maybe she didn't feel it anymore. Maybe the storm inside her was louder. He slowed the car without thinking. Something in the way she sat, small and broken, made his chest tighten. He pulled over gently, turned off the engine, and watched her for a moment. She didn't move, not even when his headlights dimmed. It was like she had turned to stone. But even from where he sat, he could see her shoulders shaking. She was crying. Keanu got out of the car. He didn't grab an umbrella. He didn't call out. He just walked slowly, his boots splashing in the shallow puddles. He stopped a few feet away and crouched down. "Hey," he said softly. "Are you okay?" She didn't look up. He didn't say anything else. He just sat there beside her in the rain. After a long moment, she finally spoke. Her voice was hoarse and small. "Why are you here?" "Same reason you are, maybe," he said. Faint. For something, she gave a broken laugh. "I'm not looking. I'm done." Keanu tilted his head. "Then let me just sit with you. You don't have to say anything." They sat in silence. Cars passed in the distance. Not many. The rain kept falling. Slowly, she lifted her head. Her face was pale. Makeup had run down. Her cheeks, but her eyes, they were full of pain, deep pain, and Keanu felt it like it was his own. "I don't want to go home," she whispered. "Then don't," he said. "Just come with me." Her eyes widened, startled. "Why?" "Because no one should cry alone in the rain." She hesitated. But something in his voice, gentle, steady, kind, made her nod. He opened the passenger door and helped her in. She didn't say a word, didn't even ask where they were going. She just looked out the window as he drove inside the car. It was quiet, warm, safe. Keanu didn't ask her name. He just drove to war at the diner near his hotel, stayed open late and served good coffee. He figured they both needed something hot and something real. At the diner, he held the door open for her. She walked in slowly, still dripping, but calmer now. They sat in a corner booth. The waitress didn't recognize him. Small towns often. Didn't she brought them 2 mugs of coffee, extra napkins, and a soft smile. "Thank you," the girl said quietly. Keanu looked at her. "You don't have to thank me. Just be here, okay?" She nodded. The warmth of the coffee helped. Her fingers stopped trembling. Slowly, she began to talk. "Not everything. My name is Anna," she said, "not the actress. Just Anna." Keanu smiled a little. "I know who you are. You're someone sitting across from me who had the courage to keep going, even when it hurt." She blinked fast, like she wasn't used to kind words. "He left," she said. "Today, after everything." Keanu didn't ask who. She didn't need to say it. Heartbreak had a sound, and he had heard it before. "I gave everything," she whispered. "Years, trust, my soul. And when I needed him the most," he said, "I was too much." Keanu's eyes didn't flinch. "You're not too much, you're honest. And that scares people who aren't ready." Anna covered her face with her hands. "I was going to sleep on that bench tonight. I didn't want to go." "Back to the apartment." "Then don't," he said. "There's a guest room at my place, clean sheets, a warm bed. You don't have to explain anything." She looked at him slowly, searching his face. "Why are you doing this?" Keanu leaned back, his voice still soft. "Because someone once did it for me, and it saved me." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was full. It's full of emotion. Full of a kind of peace that only comes when pain is shared with someone who truly listens. They sat there for hours. The storm outside kept going, but inside, a different kind of healing had begun. He didn't offer solutions. He didn't try to fix her. He just stayed. And that was enough. When they left the diner, she walked beside him. Slower now, like her heart wasn't as heavy as they reached the car. She turned and looked at him. "Thank you," she said again. This time, with her eyes meeting his, Keanu smiled. "You're welcome, Anna." But inside, he thought something. Else, maybe I was supposed to find her tonight. Maybe this was no accident, and he had no idea how much her story and his own was about to change. The morning after, the sun rose slowly behind the clouds, still heavy from last night's storm. The air was cool and still. Birds began to sing faintly, as if unsure the storm had truly passed. Inside Keanu's quiet house, the world felt distant. Time moved gently, like it didn't want to wake anyone too fast. Anna opened her eyes slowly. She was lying in a soft bed, wrapped in a warm blanket that smelled faintly of clean linen and something calm, maybe cedar wood. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came back in pieces. The rain, the curb, the headlights. Man with a gentle voice. Keanu, she sat up, feeling a strange mix of embarrassment and relief. Her hair was still damp. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but she wasn't cold anymore. She wasn't alone. On the nightstand beside the bed was a folded towel, a note, and a clean set of clothes. The note was written in simple handwriting. "Bathroom is just down the hall. No rush. Take your time." Anna held the note in her hand for a long moment. No one had been this kind to her in a long time, not without expecting something in return. Her chest ached from the unfamiliar weight of safety. After a warm shower and a cup of water from the kitchen, she followed the soft scent of coffee into the living room. Keanu was sitting by the window, a mug in his hands, eyes on the trees outside. He turned slightly when he heard her. "Morning," he said with a small smile. "Feel a little better?" She nodded slowly. "Still kind of broken, but better." He motioned toward the kitchen counter. "There's more coffee, and I made toast. Nothing fancy." She poured herself a mug and sat across from him. The room was filled with silence again, but it wasn't heavy like before. It was quiet in a healing kind of way. "I feel like I should explain," she began. Keanu shook his head. "You don't have to. I want to," she said. "Because you were kind, and I didn't deserve it." "Everyone deserves kindness," he replied, "especially when they think they don't." Anna looked at her coffee, and she started to speak. Her words were slow at first, unsure. But once they started, they didn't stop. She told him about the relationship. 5 years. It began with laughter and late-night talks. It turned into control and silence. He made her doubt herself. Made her feel small. Then he left. No goodbye, just a message. "You're too sensitive. I can't deal with this anymore." She had nowhere to go. Her family was far away and she hadn't told them anything. She was too ashamed. Keanu listened. Without interrupting, not once did he ask a question. He just let her speak. "Last night," she said, "I didn't know what I was doing. I just walked. I sat down and waited for the rain to wash everything away. But it didn't. And then you stopped." Keanu leaned forward slightly. "I didn't stop to save you. I stopped because I saw you, really saw you. And it hurt to see someone sit in pain like that. I've been there. Years ago, I sat in the rain too." Anna looked at him with surprise. "What happened to you?" she asked. He paused, eyes drifting to the window. "My girlfriend died in a crash," he said softly. "A long time ago. I was driving behind her. I saw the whole thing." "Nothing prepares you for that." Anna's eyes filled again, not for herself. "This time, but for him." "I'm sorry," she whispered. Keanu nodded. "I don't talk about it much. But last night, when I saw you, it reminded me of me. And I thought, maybe this time I could do something different. Maybe I could sit beside someone else's pain instead of my own." A long silence followed, filled only by the sound of the clock ticking and the soft clink of a spoon against a mug. "Thank you," Anna said again. Keanu smiled. "You already said that." "I know," she replied. "But this time, I really mean it." The day passed quietly. They talked more about small things: music, movies, her dreams, books. It wasn't deep all the time. Sometimes it was just about toast and how he always burns it slightly. But there was one moment in the afternoon when everything shifted. Keanu was showing her a photo album, black and white pictures, old travel memories. And there was one picture of a woman standing on a beach, smiling. "That's her, isn't it?" Anna asked gently. Keanu nodded. Anna touched the corner of the photo. "She looks peaceful." She was, he said. Even in storms, she had peace. Anna looked at him. "I think you have that too." Keanu laughed a little. "You think wrong? I carry the storm. I just learned how to walk with it." Her eyes softened. Maybe I can learn that too." He looked at her long and kind. "You already are," he said. That night she stayed again. Not because she was scared, but because the house didn't feel like someone else's anymore. It felt safe. And for the first time in a very long time, Anna slept without crying. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for now, she believed in mornings again. The voice she had for Gotanana woke up slowly the next morning. The sun peeked through the curtains, warm and soft, lighting up the room like hope. She stretched her arms gently, and for a moment, she forgot the pain. Not because it was gone, but because something lighter was sitting beside it now, something like comfort. Down the hall, she heard quiet footsteps and the faint sound of Keanu making tea. The smell of honey drifted into the room, followed by the soft sound of a dog barking from somewhere outside. The world was waking up, and this time, she wasn't afraid of it. She got up and made her way to the kitchen. Keanu stood by the window, holding a steaming mug in both hands. He turned when he heard her and gave her a quiet smile. "Morning," he said. "Morning," she answered. "It smells good in here." He held out a mug for her. "Green tea with honey? I guessed you might like it." She took it and smiled. "You guessed right." They sat at the small table near the back window. The garden outside was still wet from the rain, but the flowers looked brighter somehow, refreshed. "Do you ever think about doing something completely different?" Anna asked, holding her tea close. "Like what?" Keanu asked. "Like leaving the city, starting fresh. It's building something with your hands. Something real." Keanu nodded slowly. "I've thought about it. Sometimes when the noise gets too loud, I dream about buying land far away. Maybe opening a small workshop. Making furniture. Simple stuff." Anna smiled. "You'd be good at that. What about you?" he asked. "What would you do if you could start over?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said something he wasn't expecting. "I used to sing." Keanu looked at her with quiet surprise. "Really? Yeah? Not professionally or anything?" "Just small places, cafes, open mics, weddings. But when I was with him, he said it was childish. Said I wasn't good enough, so I stopped." Keanu's eyes didn't leave hers. "Do you miss it?" Anna nodded slowly. "Every day." He leaned back in his chair. "I'd like to hear you sing sometime." She gave a soft laugh. "I don't know if I can anymore." "Of course you can," he said. "Your voice didn't leave you. It just got quiet. It's like a bird hiding from the storm." Stared at him, stunned by the image. Her eyes filled again, but not with sadness, with something else. Something that felt like light returning. "Maybe," she whispered. Keanu stood up. "Come with me. There's something I want to show you." They drove out to a quiet place on the edge of the city. A small art center stood at the end of a gravel road, hidden by trees and covered in ivy. Inside, the space was filled with paintings, sculptures, old instruments, and a small stage with a dusty piano. "I come here sometimes," Keanu said, "just to think. The owner lets me use the space when no one else is around." Anna looked around slowly. Her fingers brushed the edge of the piano. She sat down gently. "You want me to try?" she asked. Keanu nodded. "Only if you want to." Took a deep breath. She closed her eyes.
Oh.
Her hands trembled as she placed them in her lap. Then softly her voice began to rise. Not loud, not perfect, but real, raw, tender, like a heart remembering how to beat again. Keanu stood still, listening. The room seemed to hold its breath. Her voice filled the space. It was the voice of someone who had been broken and was now learning to speak again. And when she finished, there were tears in her eyes, but this time, they were not from pain. They were from release. Keanu clapped softly, moved beyond words. You didn't lose it, he said. You just needed someone to remind you. It's still there. Anna laughed through her tears. Thank you. They sat on the floor afterward just talking. About music, about courage, about how sometimes the hardest part is not starting. It's believing we're still allowed to. Keanu told her about the first time he performed in front of strangers, how scared he was, how he almost walked away from acting forever after his first bad review. But I didn't, he said, because someone believed in me more than I believed in myself. Anna looked at him. You're that person for me. Keanu shook his head. No, Anna, you did this. I just opened the door. They left the art center late in the afternoon. Anna felt lighter, like a small part of her had come back to life. They drove home with the windows down, letting the wind wash away the last pieces of the storm. That night, she pulled out her phone and opened a voice recording app. She sang one quiet song into the dark. Not to post, not to share, just to remind herself that the voice was still hers. Keanu sat on the porch outside, watching the stars. He didn't need to hear it to know she was healing. The way she walked, the way her eyes lit up again, it was all there, and deep inside. He knew something else too. This wasn't just about helping someone. This was the beginning of something, or something neither of them had planned. The silence between themmed days passed slowly, and yet they passed gently. Anna stayed in Keanu's guest room longer than she thought she would. What began as one night turned into two, and then a quiet week filled with small moments that mattered. More than anything grand, they had developed a rhythm. In the mornings, Keanu made tea or toast, sometimes coffee when the mood felt heavy. Anna would hum softly to herself as she dried her hair or leaned by the window to feel the sun on her skin. Every day she looked a little brighter, but not all wounds vanish with warmth. Some stay, waiting to be understood. On a quiet Thursday, the mood shifted. It started with a message. Anna's phone buzzed while they were having breakfast. She looked down, her face slowly turning pale. No noticed the change instantly. Everything okay? He asked. Anna nodded too quickly. Yeah. Just someone from the past. She excused herself and walked outside. Keanu didn't follow. He respected space. He believed silence could be a kindness too. But deep down, something told him this silence was different. Outside, Anna stared at her phone. The message was short. I'm coming to get my stuff. Don't make a scene. It was from him. Her ex Anna's hands trembled. She hadn't spoken to him since the night he left. He didn't ask how she was, didn't apologize. And now, he wanted to walk back into her life as if nothing happened. She walked back in slowly. Keanu was standing by the sink, quietly washing dishes. He didn't ask again. He just waited for her to speak when she was ready. He wants to meet, she said finally. Keanu looked up. Do you want to see him? Anna shook her head. No, but he's coming anyway. Keanu nodded slowly. You don't have to face him alone. Anna looked at him, her voice quiet. I don't want you involved. This isn't your fight. He met her gaze. Maybe it's not, but I'm still here. For the rest of the day, Anna was quiet. Her energy shifted, like a storm brewing beneath calm skies. She spent the afternoon in the garden, pulling dead leaves from the plants. Keanu kept himself busy fixing a loose cupboard door in the kitchen, giving her time and space. That evening, she came inside. Her face was serious. He said he's coming tomorrow, in the afternoon. Keanu nodded. Okay. You don't have to be here, she said. I can handle it. Keanu looked at her. I'll be nearby, just in case. Anna smiled faintly. Thank you. Then she hesitated. What if he tries to? Twist things again. He always makes me feel like I'm the one who failed. Keanu sat down across from her. Anna, listen to me. You didn't fail. You loved. You gave. And when he hurt you, you walked away. That's not failure. That's strength. Her eyes filled, but she didn't look away. I believe you, she whispered. For the first time, I really believe that. The next day was cloudy, like the sky itself was nervous. Anna waited on the porch, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Keanu stayed in the house, but the door was slightly open. She had asked him not to intervene unless it was needed. Had agreed a black car pulled up around 2 in the afternoon. He stepped out casually, sunglasses on, as if the past had no weight. He didn't smile, didn't apologize, just walked up the steps with a box in his hand. This yours? He asked, holding it out like a delivery man. Anna took it without a word. He looked around. Nice place. It must be fun staying with a movie star. She didn't respond. He smirked. So this is how it is now? You cry in the rain and get saved by Keanu Reeves? Cute. Anna's hands tightened on the box. You said you just came for your stuff. He stepped closer, too close. You know, you were always dramatic, even now, making a big show of leaving, acting like I was the problem. Her voice. Calm but clear. You were the problem. He froze. For a second, his eyes narrowed. You don't talk to me like that, he said. And that's when Keanu stepped outside. He didn't say anything. Didn't raise his voice. He just stood behind her, quiet, solid, unshaken. The man stepped back. His bravado cracked for a second. This isn't over, he muttered. Anna looked at him, her voice steady. Yes, it is. He left without another word. The car sped off, leaving dust behind. Anna stood still for a long moment. Then she turned to Keanu. You didn't have to come out, she said softly. He shrugged. I told you I'd be nearby. Anna took a deep breath. Her heart was racing, but something inside her had changed. She didn't just survive that moment. She owned it. I didn't cry, she whispered. Keanu smiled. You didn't flinch either. That night, they sat on the porch under the stars again. Anna held a mug of tea in her hands, and Keanu was beside her, quiet as always. Thank you, she said. He looked at her. You stood up for yourself. I just watched. She turned toward him. You being there, it meant everything. Breeze moved through the trees. The stars blinked softly above them, and the silence between them wasn't heavy anymore. It was full of respect, of peace, of something that had no name yet, but felt like the beginning of healing that would last and deepen his chest. Keanu knew one thing for sure. This wasn't the end of her story. It was just the chapter where she finally remembered her worth. Her name in the spotlight morning after her ex left felt different. The air was light. Even the silence in the house felt easier to breathe. Anna stood in the kitchen doorway, watching Keanu slice fruit with calm, careful movements. The radio played soft jazz in the background. The world, for once, felt like it wasn't rushing her. I slept the whole night, she said quietly. Keanu turned and smiled. Your eyes say so. She walked to the table, barefoot, relaxed. I think that moment yesterday. When I told him it was over, it felt like something inside me closed, like a door, and behind it was everything I no longer needed to carry. Keanu poured tea into 2 cups. Then maybe it's time to open a new door. Anna tilted her head. What kind of door? It's the one you were afraid of? The one where your voice lives. The one with your name written in bold letters. She paused. You mean singing again? He nodded. Not just singing, performing, recording, claiming it. Anna laughed nervously. Keanu, that world is big, and I'm small. Keanu looked her in the eyes. You were never small. He made you feel small. She sat down, quiet, holding her cup in both hands. What if I fail? Then you'll try again, Keanu said. But this time on your terms. That afternoon, he drove her to a studio owned by a friend of his. It was quiet, private, and filled with vintage microphones and warm wooden panels. The sound engineer, a kind woman named Elise, greeted them both with a gentle smile. You must be Anna, she said warmly. Anna hesitated. How do you know my name? Keanu smiled beside her. May have mentioned you. Anna blushed, but followed Elise inside. They walked into the recording room. It was silent, still. But the moment Anna stepped up to the mic, something inside her awakened. Elise handed her headphones. Take your time. We'll just listen. Anna closed her eyes. She thought of the nights she used to sing in small cafes. Thought of the people who clapped. The ones who leaned in. The nights she cried afterward, feeling like her voice didn't matter. Then she thought of the rain, the sidewalk, Keanu's voice, and suddenly, she opened her mouth. And music flowed like it had been waiting for years. Not perfect, not polished, but pure. When she finished, she looked up. Keanu was standing behind the glass, smiling softly. Elise gave her a thumbs up. I felt that, Elise said through the mic. Every word. Anna pulled off her headphones slowly. She felt something rise in her chest. Relief. Pride, maybe. Even Keanu walked in and held out a small piece of paper. What's this? She asked. Open mic night, he said. Next Friday. Same cafe, where I heard a girl once whisper that her dream was gone. Anna stared at the flyer, her hands trembled. You signed me up? I wrote your name, he said. You'll have to show up yourself. Anna stared at it for a long time. I'm scared, she whispered. Keanu stepped closer. Then sing scared. But sing. She folded the flyer carefully and held it to her chest. Okay, she said. I'll do it. The week passed quickly. Every evening, Anna rehearsed. Keanu sat in the corner, never judging, just listening. Sometimes he gave suggestions. Sometimes he just smiled and nodded. The night before the performance, Anna stood by the mirror, holding the dress she planned. To wear it was soft, dark blue, simple but beautiful. Does it feel like you? Keanu asked from the doorway. Anna nodded. It feels like someone who's finally ready to be seen. The next night, the cafe was packed. Not a big crowd, but enough to fill the air with nerves. Candles flickered on every table. Quiet conversations floated around her like smoke. Anna stood backstage, heart pounding. Keanu placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to prove anything tonight. You just have to share something. What if they don't like it? She whispered. Then they don't, he said calmly. But you'll still be the woman who got back up. The host called her name, Ana de Armas. Some heads turned, thinking of the actress. Others leaned in, curious. She walked to the mic. Slow but steady. The lights were soft. The guitar in her hand felt warm and worn. She looked out into the crowd. And then she saw him, Keanu, sitting alone near the back, smiling with his eyes. And in that moment, her fear dropped away. She closed her eyes and began to sing. It wasn't a love song. It was a story. Her story. The sidewalk. The rain. The heartbreak. Second chance. The cafe was silent. No one moved. No one whispered. And when she finished, there was a stillness that felt sacred. Then slowly, someone clapped. Then another. Then the whole room. Anna opened her eyes and smiled. Not because they clapped, but because she was still standing later that night. As they walked to the car, she turned to Keanu. I didn't know it could feel like that. Like what? He asked. Like coming home to yourself? Keanu looked at her with quiet pride. You were always there. You just needed to be heard. Anna took a deep breath. I want to keep doing this. Singing, writing, being seen, then do it, he said. She reached for his hand and held it gently. Thank you for stopping the car that night. Keanu looked at her, his voice calm. I think the car stopped for both of us. And in that quiet parking lot, under the soft streetlight, Anna finally felt what she had long forgotten, the power of her voice. The strength in her name and the truth that healing begins, not in the applause, but in the moment we choose to speak again. Ending line. The girl who walked through the storm. A month passed, then two, and slowly. Everything began to change, not in loud, dramatic ways, but in the kind that stays. Anna had moved into a small apartment near the lake. It wasn't big. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. She filled it with soft lights, secondhand books, warm tea, and music. Her guitar rested near the window. Her lyrics stayed on the kitchen table. Sunlight came through the curtains every morning like a gentle reminder. This is your life now. It's real. She still saw Keanu almost every day. Sometimes he came by after a long shoot, still in costume, still smiling that quiet smile. Sometimes she went to his place to cook dinner or share a story she had written. They didn't put labels on anything. They didn't need to. What they had wasn't rushed, was honest. One evening, they sat together on her tiny balcony legs, tucked under warm blankets, mugs of hot chocolate in their hands. The sky was soft with stars, and the city below whispered gently, like it didn't want to interrupt. I got invited to sing at a benefit concert, Anna said. Keanu turned to her. That's amazing. Are you nervous? Little, she admitted. But it feels right. This time, I'm not performing to be accepted. I'm performing because I have something to give. Keanu nodded slowly. Your voice is a gift, and not just the singing. The way you tell your story. It makes people feel less alone. Anna looked at him carefully. Do you ever think about that night? The rain? The moment you stopped the car? I do, he said. Sometimes I wonder what made me slow down, what made me look. And then I remembered it was your pain. It called to me, and something inside said, don't drive past this one. Anna looked at her hands. I think about it too.
That night,
I wasn't planning to go anywhere. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to exist. But then you came, and everything shifted. Keanu reached out and gently touched her hand. You would have made it through either way, Anna. You're stronger than you think. Maybe, she said. But you helped me remember that. The benefit concert was held in an old theater downtown. The stage was wide, the lights golden and soft. The audience was filled with strangers, people who had no idea where Anna had come from or what she had survived. She stood backstage, breathing slowly, eyes closed. Keanu stood beside her, not speaking, just standing with her. Then she looked at him and said something simple. But it made his heart pause. I'm not afraid anymore, he smiled. Good, I'll go show them who you are. She stepped onto the stage. The applause faded. The spotlight found her, and she began to sing. But this time, it wasn't a story of sadness. It was a song of rising, of choosing to live again, of being broken, yes, but never destroyed. The audience leaned in. Every note carried truth. Every word carried weight. And when she finished, there was silence again, not because they were unsure, but because they had been moved. Then came the applause. Strong, sincere. Anna bowed her head, smiling through tears. Backstage, Keanu waited. When she walked into the wings, he opened his arms without a word, and she stepped into them like she belonged there. Later that night, they sat by the lake. The water was calm, reflecting stars above. The world had grown quiet again, and Keanu reached for her hand. So, he asked gently, what now? Anna leaned her head on his shoulder. Now, I live, she said. I keep writing, I keep singing. I remember that the storm didn't take me. It just showed me where to begin. He kissed the top of her head. You're not the girl in the rain anymore? No, she whispered. But I'll never forget her, because she's the one who kept walking. They sat there for a long time. No more rushing. No more hiding. Just two people, changed by kindness. He hadn't saved her. She hadn't saved him. They had met in a moment of pain and held space for each other to heal. And in that quiet space, a new kind of love began. Not loud, not forced, just true. And sometimes, that's more than enough.